Nigeria records 120 new COVID-19 cases on Monday. Lagos records 0. President Muhammadu Buhari approves 10 billion naira to continue the census preparatory process. In international news, President Donald Trump receives backlash for posing without mask as he returns to the White House. And in sport, FIFA approves Akpoguma switch from Germany to Nigeria.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control has announced 120 new confirmed cases were recorded in the country on Monday. So far, nearly 59,500 cases have been confirmed nationwide. Nearly 51,000 of those have been discharged. 1,113 deaths have been recorded across the country. 13 states shared the new cases, with Rivers claiming 65 and the Federal Capital Territory a distant second with 12 cases. The rest of the 11 states recorded cases in single digits. It should be noted that Lagos, which had regularly reported the highest number of daily cases for months of the pandemic, had been dropping and did not report any case in the latest NCDC report. The losing All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in last month's Edo governorship election, Osage Ize-Eyamu, says he would not be heading to the elections tribunal. Ize-Eyamu lost the election to incumbent governor and candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Godwin Obaseki. Ize-Eyamu released a statement on Monday saying his decision not to contest the election was as a result of his desire not to further cause tension in the state, but he charged the election was not free and fair. Ize-Eyamu claimed there were unlawful cancellations of results in some wards. He also said there were falsified results from many polling units. The APC candidate also accused security agents of collusion. He said they decided not to intervene when, quote, gun-wielding thugs took over collation centers in many locations, end quote. Ize-Eyamu said he would continue with two pre-election cases that challenged Obaseki's eligibility to contest in the election. The PDP is also continuing with its pre-election cases against the APC. Corporate Affairs Commission is planning to do what it has not done before: register companies within 48 hours. CAC says business names would also be approved on the same day. The announcement came from the Registrar General of the Commission, Garba Abubakar, during a media briefing in Abuja at the weekend. Abubakar said the CAC wants to reform its service structure and customer satisfaction by end of this month, shortening its original deadline by 2 months. He also said any CAC posting corporation service not available electronically would be handed within 5 days. The DG says CAC wants to align its operation with the industry global best practices. He says the new process would achieve 3 important objectives: to entrench the ease of doing business initiative of the federal government, to ensure greater disclosure, and to strengthen the legal framework. The federal government has approved 10 billion naira to continue the census preparatory process in more than 500 local government areas in the country. The exercise, which prepares the nation for the actual census, known as the enumeration area demarcation, is a process of breaking down the country's land area into small geographical and demographical units. President Muhammadu Buhari also approved an additional 4.5 billion naira to be included in the 2021 budget for completion of the exercise as part of the preparations for the next census. Acting Chairman of the National Population Commission, Eyitayo Oyetunji, gave information in Abuja on Monday. He said details from EAD are very essential for security surveillance and crime prevention. Oyetunji said no date has been fixed for the next census, but that the nation was very close to the conduct of the census. The country conducted its last census in 2006. The nation celebrated its 60th independence anniversary last Thursday. It was a low-key observance this year as COVID-19 pandemic suppressed exorbitant celebrations. But there was celebration nonetheless. Correspondent Kelechi Mekalam wraps up the Abuja events where the nation of Nigeria was honored.
A ceremony to mark Nigeria's Diamond Jubilee. President Muhammadu Buhari was the chief guest at the event and performed a routine inspection of the guards of honor mounted by the country's military. Their numbers had been reduced by half to ensure they observe physical distance and other COVID-19 related health guidelines. This year's theme, Together We Shall Be, is coming at a time when Africa's most populous nation is divided along tribal and religious lines. But it was chosen to help forge a more united and cohesive nation.
Our culture is actually very rich, and we believe very strongly that allowing everyone to voice out his cultural content, it helps us to be stronger in unity.
We can achieve this unity by integrating ourselves and respecting one another, and also respecting our differences, be it differences of religion or differences of tribe, or differences in how we look. You know, if we all agree that we are one common family, humanity, that we are all created by God to know what one another, not to despise one another, I think Nigeria will be all right.
It's the first time in 10 years that the Independence Day ceremony has been marked here at the Eagle Square. The last time it was marred by a terrorist attack. But despite the many challenges the country faces, the ceremony doesn't end here. It's a year-long celebration for the nation and its people, and the people here remain upbeat about the future.
We're able to achieve stable electricity, railways, and most roads are under construction as I speak to you now. It has been like a kind of partnership between China and Nigeria, and which has been working fantastically for Nigeria. So, and I'm hopeful that we get a better Nigeria like in China.
Nigeria gained its independence from British colonial rule on October 1, 1960. Despite the wealth in human and natural resources, the nation is still grappling with poverty. According to the World Bank, almost half of the population remains poor, living below $2 per day. But the government has hailed some of its successes in developing the nation, even as it points out the need to put Nigeria on a path towards national healing.
Coming up, African news. Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta woos French investors to his country. And later, international news. President Donald Trump receives backlash for posing without mask as he returns to the White House.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you'll need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. As Uganda grapples with stage 4 of the COVID-19 pandemic, The government has issued new guidelines for treatment where a recovering patient will be discharged without a repeat test to check whether the virus has completely been eliminated from the body. Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Asang says the patient's discharge criteria will be based on the level of disease severity and whether their immunity is suppressed. Respondent Isabel Makia explains.
Uganda's Ministry of Health says all mild COVID-19 cases will now stay in hospital for 10 days and be discharged if they have improved. Initially, COVID-19 patients had to wait for at least 2 negative results, done 24 hours apart, to be discharged. Patients had to stay in hospital for at least 14 days before being allowed to go home. The Health Ministry says this will help free up space in hospitals for more serious cases.
COVID-19 cases who do not require supplemental oxygen but may have presented with other symptoms will be discharged at least 10 days after symptom onset, provided symptoms have improved and the patient is at least 24 hours fever-free.
The country recently opened up a temporary COVID-19 treatment facility at a sports stadium, but that has already filled up. Uganda is also advising COVID-19 patients with mild symptoms to receive home-based care. This will only be allowed for patients who have enough space in their homes to self-isolate.
The family needs to be taught how to look out for a worsening situation, a patient who is worsening every day, and know how to manage those symptoms, because if someone did not have fever, now they have fever, they need to be taught to give paracetamol, not to rush to the hospital.
Privately run hospitals are also being allowed to accept COVID-19 patients to ease pressure on public facilities.
The Ministry of Health is conducting an assessment and accreditation exercise to identify and designate private health facilities to provide care for COVID-19 patients who may wish to be treated in the private facilities.
COVID-19 cases in Uganda are nearing the 10,000 mark, and the government is putting emphasis on individual responsibility. They are encouraging social distancing, washing hands, and the wearing of masks.
Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged French investors to choose Kenya as their preferred investment destination in Africa and assured them of his government's support. Speaking during a France-Kenya business forum hosted by MEDEF, the largest French business consortium in the world, Kenyatta acknowledged the growing number of French businesses setting up base in Nairobi, saying it has grown from fewer than 30 to more than 100 companies in under 10 years. The Kenyan head of state said his administration is rolling out a cocktail of policy and market reforms that have seen Kenya's ranking in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business Index improve significantly in recent years. At the launching attended by top executives of leading French companies, Kenyatta said Kenya is keen to continue attracting win-win business partnerships to enable the country attain its development aspirations.
You know, as we sat with President Macron and saw the exchange of notes between our government and Vichy, who now are investing $1.3 of their own money, 1.3 billion euro, rather, of their own money to build infrastructure on a PPP basis, and having confidence that they will get their return, and us being able to do everything to create the environment to give them the assurance that their investment is safe.
Kenya's economy is open for French investments in sectors such as technology, infrastructure and energy, and cited the recent signing of more than €1 billion agreements for the construction of a highway in Kenya by the private sector as an example of the opportunities available to French companies. French President Emmanuel Macron was represented at the business forum by his Minister for European Foreign Affairs, Frank Reister, who rallied French companies to invest more in Kenya, saying the European nation is keen on strengthening its economic ties with Kenya. The chairman of the Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council, Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has met with the President of the Republic of South Sudan, Lieutenant General Salva Kiir Mayardit, who played a great role and made appreciated efforts that lasted for a whole year until the peace in Sudan was achieved. Al-Burhan had invited Kiir to visit the Sudan to celebrate with the Sudanese people the just signed peace agreement in Khartoum. For his part, South Sudanese President Salva Kiir Mayardit expressed his happiness at achieving peace in the Sudan. He said peace and stability in the Sudan are considered peace and stability for Southern Sudan as well, and that the peace that had been achieved is in the interest of the two brotherly peoples.
When we return, international news. President Donald Trump receives backlash for posing without mask as he returns to the White House. And later, sports. FIFA approves Akpoguma switch from Germany to Nigeria.
You are watching ANN.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. U.S. President Donald Trump is back in the White House after leaving the Walter Reed Military Medical Center where he was being treated for COVID-19 infection. In the very heavily choreographed return, still infectious President Trump stood on a White House balcony without a mask, basking in the moment. He was immediately trailed by a new controversy when he said, despite his illness, the country should not be afraid of the virus that has now killed more than 210,000 Americans. Many have described his action as irresponsible and insensitive. The president, who remains contagious, said he felt good. He is expected to continue his recovery at the White House. White House spokesman Jude Deere says all precaution has been taken to protect the president and his family. Deere says physical access to the president will be limited and appropriate protective equipment will be worn by those near him. The First Lady is also in isolation at the White House. Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny says he believes he was poisoned by Russia's intelligence services ahead of next year's parliamentary elections. In a YouTube interview with a Russian blogger, Navalny insists he was poisoned with a Novichok nerve agents because authorities saw him as a threat. This is Navalny's first video since being discharged from a Berlin hospital. A popular critic of President Vladimir Putin came out of a coma last month after collapsing on a domestic flight in Siberia in August. German doctors say he was poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent. Germany, France, and other Western countries have demanded an explanation from the Kremlin for Navalny's illness. The Kremlin has rejected any suggestion that Putin or the Russian authorities were responsible for Navalny's condition. The Russian critic said he couldn't explain how the Novichok nerve agent got into his system. Russia's parliamentary elections will take place next year. Antivirus software creator John McAfee has been arrested in Spain for alleged tax evasion. Prosecutors say he failed to file tax returns for 4 years. Despite earning millions from consulting work, speaking events, speaking engagements, cryptocurrencies, and selling the rights to his life story, he's also accused of concealing assets, including a yacht and real estate property, in the names of others. The U.S. Justice Department says McAfee allegedly evaded tax liability by having his income paid into bank accounts and cryptocurrency exchange accounts bearing names of other people. Prosecutors say he faces extradition to the United States. None of the income is connected with the software firm which bears his name. McAfee is yet to comment on the charges. If convicted, he could face up to 30 years in prison. Indonesian workers are out on the streets to protest against the passage of the country's new labor laws. Government officials say the law is vital to attract investment, but critics view it as too pro-business. Despite the controversy, Parliament voted on the bill earlier than expected and ahead of a national strike due to start on Tuesday. Unions expect the participation of up to 2 million workers. A trade union member in the city of Tangerang, west of Jakarta, Anwar Sanusi, says the bill would hold outsourced and contracted workers in place for life. Sanusi further said the new law removes the 3-year maximum duration of contracts and cuts severance benefits, provisions the government said were intended to promote formal hiring.
China is more than halfway through its Golden Week holiday and
Chinese Ministry of Culture and Tourism reports more than 400 million trips were made across the country during the first half of the National Day holiday. This is nearly 80% of last year's number, a good rebound in domestic tourism after the COVID-19 pandemic and global travel restrictions.
China is more than halfway through its Golden Week holiday and there are signs that tourism is rebounding. There were 425 million domestic trips that made during the first 4 days of the holiday. It's about 80% of the number from last year. They generated almost 46 billion US dollars. That's down about a third. Over 6 million trips were made by air. 11 million trips were made by railway on Sunday alone. This year, the Golden Week has been extended to 8 days since China's National Day happens to coincide with the traditional Mid-Autumn Festival. The extended break is often used to gauge the health of China's economy, especially though this year as it recovers from the pandemic. The New York Times described China as returning to near normalcy with remarkable speed.
Up next, sports. FIFA approves Akpoguma's switch from Germany to Nigeria. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In sport, Nigeria Football Federation President Amaju Pinnick has announced on his official Twitter handle the World Football Governing Body, FIFA, has given a go-ahead to 25-year-old refereeing defender Kevin Akpoguma's application to switch international legends from Germany to Nigeria. Akpoguma has a Nigerian father and a German mother. He signified interest in playing for the Super Eagles 2 years ago. Akpoguma represented Germany in the under-16 level to under-21 and captained the German under-20 side at the 2015 under-20 World Cup in New Zealand, helping the Europeans beat Nigeria's under-20 side 1-0 in the round of 16. Arsenal have completed the signing of Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid. The Ghana midfielder comes to London after the Gunners were able to complete a £45 million 4-year deal with the option of an additional season. Arsenal had been linked to Partey for some time now.That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.